Hello YouTube. This is Greg. Thanks for stopping by this weekend for a bit of a stroll on the Florida Scenic Trail. Again, this time up near Ocean Pond en route to Lake City. So give me in a minute. I'm on a road walk till I find the trailhead. Once I see some orange blazes, I'll turn this around and we'll go for a walk. Okay, here we are. And an orange blaze. We're back on the trail again. This is the second week of May. I think our last cold front has officially come and gone. Temperature's not too bad today. It's in the mid-70s. Barometric pressure kind of in the middle. No chance of rain. Should be a nice hike. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and my goal is to get a couple of miles down from the trailhead. There's a shelter, I think in 4 miles. I don't remember what the guidebook said about it. I think it may have a picnic table and a fire ring or something. And there may be a water source half a mile away. Today I have a 11-pound base weight, 3 days of food, 2 liters of water and a filter. The equipment is a 60-liter Z-Pax Arc Blast, weighs I think 21.2 ounces. Eno 700 down quilt, weighs just under a pound. And a Hennessy ultralight ASEM hammock with a 9-foot Noah tarp. The Noah tarp is probably the heaviest piece of equipment at 1.5 pounds. Backpack at 1.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds for the quilt. The Hennessy hammock and all of its rigging is another 1.4 pounds. So let's call that 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5.5 with the Noah tarp. I have ordered a 10 by 12 Cuban fiber tarp from Z-Pax. They do really good work, but now that they've been found out and are popular, I have to wait a little while and plan. So I think the weight of it was 10 ounces, so I'll be able to drop my pack weight by another pound once it gets here. For the Hennessy hammock, I do have a minimal Silnai tarp that Hennessy markets for that kind of thing. Coverage isn't so great, and with the old Noah tarp, you can set it up with a bit of a front porch and do a lot of work underneath it, besides having a place to keep the hammock dry. Let's see what else. Tonight, supper will be chicken and rice. Actually, a rice and pasta side with some pouched chicken. Breakfast in the morning will be oatmeal and apples. I'm trying a social experiment with powdered milk, water, and Carnation instant breakfast. Hopefully the water and powdered milk will make enough of milk to make enough of Carnation Instant Breakfast be palatable. But it will be an experiment. Another orange blaze. Parts of the Florida Scenic Trail that are near the southern terminus, I've hiked. I don't think I'll ever do it again at the near side of 60. I'm not fond of hiking for several hours in ankle to knee deep water, having to dry my stuff out every night and wondering what kind of snakes inhabit the Florida Trail with me. Once you get close to more central Florida, near the Keystone Heights section, it dries out dramatically. Much more comfortable trail. This is my first time out with a new backpack. I'd had another pack for years. Thought I had adjusted the back straps every way I could. Could never get the weight of that thing off my shoulders. With the Z-Pack's Arc Blast, for starters, it's 1.5 pounds lighter. Next, the carbon fiber frame arrangement makes for a nice arc that allows air to get between you and the pack. It's much better in terms of not having any weight on my shoulders, but all of it sitting on the waist belt. Okay, something's happening up here. Let's see what this side trail is. I think we're going to be continuing on the orange blazes. Base weight for everything, including my electronics. Okay, Florida Trail goes this way. The shelter for the night, I think it's going to be this way. Yep, green blaze. This looks like my map. Through the trees over there, there should be a lake. Looks like around the next turn. We'll see. Anyway, base weight's about 11 pounds with all my electronics and everything. 3 days worth of food brings it up to right at 18.5 pounds. My last 72-hour hike was with the older pack, and I have trimmed some non-essentials out of my loadout, but the final weight on it was closer to 30 pounds than 18. And though I can do that if I have to, as a rule, these days I'd really rather not. I'm not an ultralight guy. I don't count grams. But at this side of 60, I am starting to count ounces. So once I get settled up here, let's see, this should be a horse trail coming up on the left. Okay, shelter. Let's see what this says. Horse trail, okay. Gregory is not lost. One of the great things about the Florida Scenic Trail, besides that it's adequately blazed, well marked, and nearly impossible to get lost, is that it's also mostly flat. Not to say that it won't give you a workout walking on it, but compared to the extreme up and down, especially of the southern end of the Appalachian Trail, it's pretty easy. And it's beautiful. It looks like recently I may have had a controlled burn over here too. Could also be just convective weather in Florida that lands on this pine scrub and lights it up. I don't see any smoke, but it does look decidedly a little burnt. Just a little burn on one side of the road, which makes me guess and think that maybe it was a controlled deal. Let's see. I don't know if you can see through the trees. There's the lake that the map says should be there. So up here a little ways further on, and on the left should be a off-the-trail shelter. I'm guessing that lake is a water source. For this trip, I have a 1-liter smart water bottle. I have a Sawyer 1-liter bottle with a filter inside, and I have 2 Platypus 1-liter soft bottles that are rolled up with nothing in them. Okay, this looks like the shelter. We'll see. Oh, nice. Oh, very nice. In the absence of trees that are the right geometry, I may just hang my hammock in between these posts and forego the tarp altogether. Let's see what else is back here. Camping area, another picnic table, and a fire pit. Wow, major props. I think this is the Osceola National Forest. Major props to whoever set up these campsites to be so accommodating. Another picnic table, another fire pit. Let me turn this off. I'm going to set up camp. When I get things a little more together, I'll bring you back. Well, hello again. Welcome back. I've set up camp. It's about 5:30 here in North Florida. And what is the name of this place? The Olustee Battlefield State Park. Oh, my turnaround button went away. Okay, let me turn this around and I'll show you my camp. Okay, here we go. This is going to be my kitchen for tonight. That has a GSI Micro Dualist titanium pot with a pocket rocket stove, titanium spoon, new knife by Dan Eastlund at Dogwood Customs. I'll try and get a picture of this tonight. It's supposed to glow in the dark. Water for cooking. This is my knockoff of my Z seat that cost a couple of bucks and came from China. This is my 60-liter Arc Blast Z-Packs pack. They're pretty waterproof. I do have a 60-liter Z-Packs dry bag on the inside. This is my clothes bag, also by Z-Packs, and you can turn it inside out and stuff the clothes back in, and one side has a very comfy pillow-esque fleece side that'll be my pillow tonight. Okay, here we go. Over here is my Hennessy Ultralight ASEM. I'm going to forego putting a tarp on it tonight. It looks like it's going to be a pretty nice night. I have Eagle's Nest Outfitters slap straps, and on the end of the Hennessy I have a knot with some ascending rings and a carabiner. I think what I'm probably going to do is get rid of the ascending rings and this big carabiner, tie a knot figure 8 in the end of the Hennessy line and put a smaller carabiner on so I can just clip it in. The ASIM is lumpier on one side and the other, so when you stretch it out, you can lay nearly horizontally and sleep on your stomach or your side in it, surprisingly. This one also has, these are called snake skins. Instead of folding it up and putting it in a bag, you just kind of roll it up on itself and pull the snake skins over it and away you go. Underneath is an eagle's nest gear hammock. I don't know how much this thing weighs. I think it's 4 ounces in its bag with all of its stuff. I've used it with the heavy Dyneema cable to either hold my gear, or I've used it as a chair. And it's held me for what it is. I suppose maybe I should think about putting heavier cordage on it if I'm going to use it consistently as a chair. But it does a nice job of keeping my backpack off the ground and out of weather and things that I want in the night fairly close by. So, let's see. Here for tonight. Here is my bear bag and my sack with a rock in it. It has gone over this tree limb. I'm about 8 feet away from the tree trunk, and I'll haul it up so that it's about 4 feet from the top and tie it off. This is a Cuban fiber dry bag, and inside it has some odor-proof, supposedly. They look like Ziploc bags, but on steroids. I think they're called lock sacks. I have traditionally used, I think they call it a rat sack, made out of stainless steel mesh with Velcro on either side. When I had been on the Appalachian Trail, you could leave it on the ground and raccoons and mice couldn't get into it. I'd use it as a bear bag, but this bag I think weighs 2.5, 3 ounces, where my rat sack weighs almost a pound by itself with the stainless steel. So if I hang this right, there should be no creatures that can get into it tonight. So anyway, that's my camp for the night. It's gonna be getting dark here before long. I want to cook in the daylight, so I'm going to turn this off and I'll bring you in later, maybe tomorrow morning when I'm having breakfast, getting ready to go. Okay, thanks. Okay, I waited too long for this. This is my first new knife and custom ordered knife in 50 years. In fact, my first one ever. Never had a custom knife. First knives that I ever had were Barlow styles by J. Robertson that my grandfather gave me when I was a little guy. And then a Frost that looks decidedly kind of like a Morris 612. And then a Ontario cutlery old hickory butcher knife with some modifications. And then finally I had my grandfather's J. Russell Kephart model from the late 1800s that he passed to me when he knew he was never going to go out in the woods anymore. So this one is by Dan Eastland at Dogwood Custom Knives. And there's this circuitous route brought me to Dan. On a search and rescue with the Civil Air Patrol, I thought I had mislaid my J. Russell of my grandfather's when I'd really put it back in my pack. Turned the entire camp inside out looking for it. And so one of my Civil Air Patrol squadron mates suggested that I needed a knife that glowed in the dark or was attached to me with a long lanyard. As it turned out, the knife was in my backpack. Later on, that same squadron member discovered Dan Eastland and an article in, excuse me, internet article that showed that Dogwood Customs made a knife with a proprietary handle material that glowed in the dark. The next year at the knife show, I overheard a conversation. I didn't know it was Dan Eastland, but I overheard a conversation between Dan Eastland and Adam Francis with Equipped to Endure, talking about thinner profile blades. And I have appreciated thinner profile blades for a long time, a knife essentially being a pair of inclined planes, and the shallower the angle, the less force required to push it through stock. And then the last stage of my circuitous journey to Dogwood Custom Knives involved bumping into Robbie Oliver, who is an associate of Dan Eastland. And long and short was, I contacted them, ordered a knife. This is their Kepart Redo that looks markedly similar to my grandfather's Kepart model, J. Russell. And the cool thing about it is that it glows in the dark. I don't know what this stuff is. And it glows for a long time if you keep it out in sunlight. They make normal handle materials too. I think there's a red-orange version of this. And this handle material, I think, is known as Firefly. Great leather work that comes with it. You can also get Kydex, I suppose. But this is my first new knife, and maybe tomorrow we'll, when the sun comes up, we'll go out and do some bushcrafty stuff with my awesome new knife. Now I suppose I can retire my J. Russell, my 50-year-old Old Hickory with its mods, and settle down to using this amazing knife with powdered stainless steel. The downside, my friends claim, is that these things would be hard to sharpen in the field. The upside of it is you never need to sharpen them. The powdered steel is so durable and so hard, it holds an edge for a long, long time. Okay, so this is my glow-in-the-dark handles. My CAP friend would be delighted that perhaps maybe I won't lose this. Okay, thanks. I'll pick up tomorrow again. Good morning, YouTube. This is Greg. Thanks for following me along. Last night the weather changed, and I could hear it rolling in from to the north. It sounded like from the interstate, and the stars went away and the sky rumbled and made noises, so I ended up having to put out my tarp. So the way I manage this is I have 50 feet of 250-pound mule tape that we use on the farm. We've had this stuff on a roll for, gosh, since I was a little kid. We always had mule tape on the homestead or the farm. So I use a basic prusik knot to attach the corners of the tarp to the mule tape on each end. This one has a continuous loop that I thread the other end through. The prusik knot is easily turned loose, can easily move along to capture the tarp, and when you put pressure on it, it doesn't budge. One of my favorite scout knots of all time, the prusik knot. And again, slap straps from Eagle's Nest Outfitters go around the tree. I used to have a singular strap and use the descending rings to adjust the length of the tarp. For simplicity's sake, rather than using the descending rings and the cordage that comes with the Hennessy hammock to adjust the hang, as it were, of the hammock, the slap straps by Eagle's Nest Outfitters are not infinitely adjustable, but they're adjustable enough to simplify my life. So when I get back home, one of my to-do list will be to get rid of this heavy carabiner and descending rings and tie a permanent knot on the end of this thing and use a lighter carabiner to get me going. So I'll be packing this stuff up in a minute. Bug net worked great last night with a swarm of yellow flies and mosquitoes. The downside of it is that it tends to be a little warmer in there, and it does cut the breeze. I don't know how I poked a hole in this thing, but my fix last night was a Band-Aid on both sides, cut up with my Victorinox Mini. If I'm going out in the woods doing bushcrafty stuff, it's surprising to me. I will usually take a hatchet, an axe, a large fixed blade knife, a pocket folding knife. But when I'm out going on long hikes, the only knife I take is a little miniature Victorinox that has a small blade, a pair of scissors, and tweezers. And that's usually all I need to effect first aid and repairs for me, and all I end up taking. And I think it weighs an ounce. So this was my camp for tonight. Over there, the Florida State Park system has wonderfully provided me a picnic table and a fire pit. And over there, about 100 feet, is where I had my critter bag in the night. And I'm just getting ready to put things away and head north over toward Ocean Pond. So I'll bring you back when something more interesting than packing is going on. Thanks.